Hey, it is recruiting time with Otis Kirk, our recruiting insider. Otis, very busy weekend. Let's talk about Kelly Bryant because this guy caused a lot of electricity here. Needless to say, over the weekend, it's pretty cool seeing him call the Hogs, in fact. But takeaways here, Kelly Bryant, what do you think as far as the process and whether he might come to Arkansas?
Yeah. I think he had a great visit. I talked to him before I came up to the studio after his visit, and he had a great time, obviously. I mean, you saw that yesterday, and I think Arkansas has got an excellent chance of getting him. I think they're going to get him. He is going to visit Missouri next weekend, or that's the plan right now. After that, he said he really doesn't have any plans, but he's wanting to, dot his I's, cross his T's, make sure of everything, because he's got 1 year to play. He doesn't have, 5 years to play for this time. He's got 1 year to play, and he wants to make sure he makes the right decision. And so, he's a little leery of rushing into anything, but I feel really good about Arkansas's chances.
You talk a lot about Bryant and his relationship with Chad Morris. We all know the history and how he was evaluated at Clemson by Morris. But what about Joe Craddock, the relationship there?
Yeah, it's a good relationship. He said, Coach Craddock was at Clemson with Chad. Trust him. That's the biggest thing he's got with these coaches. He's got trust because Coach Morris built that trust, and so did Coach Craddock. But Coach Morris told him when he was recruiting him to Clemson that, hey, I may not be here. I just want to be honest with you. And Kelly told me today that stuck with him the entire time. And so he remembers that. And when you've only got 1 year to play and you can't afford any more mistakes, you've got to make sure of it. And that's all he's doing. And that's why I think the trust factor with Chad Morris and Joe Craddock will win out as much as anything else. Because I think he feels like he can go to a lot of schools and play.
Right.
I don't think he has to come to Arkansas to play. Yeah. I think there's a lot of schools he can play at, but most of them, in fact. And, and just to clear up, some fans have gotten this idea that, for lack of a better word, he's a Clemson reject or cast off. Look, the kid that beat him out was Trevor Lawrence, who will be the #1 pick in the 2021 NFL draft.
Looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, he's a John Elway, Peyton Manning type quarterback. He's a big-time quarterback. He was the #1 recruit in the nation last year. He didn't get beat out by some walk-on from,
wherever.
And he started all 4 games for them and won. He was 16-2 as a starter at Clemson. That's a pretty good record.
I'd say so. Yeah.
And I feel really good about Arkansas's chances. And the main reason I think the trust factor with the coaches here is what's going to be the deciding factor in the end, because, as I said, he can't make any more mistakes.
Loves the scenery here in Arkansas as well. Kelly Bryant talked about it.
Well, he compares Fayetteville. He says it's a bigger Clemson. Fayetteville, the city is similar to Clemson. Clemson's pretty small. Fayetteville is a bigger Clemson, and he likes that. So, you brought that. But the scenery, it's great. And reminded him home. He felt like home. And you got people calling your name and chanting your name. You're going to like it. And he had a great time.
Yeah, great time yesterday. In the meantime, other side of the football, Caleb Johnson, a linebacker from Fullerton College. Tell me about him and based on where he is, because in this process, going into his visit here on the Hill, Texas, his leader.
Yeah, and you know what? I think he's going to end up at Texas, but Nebraska and who offered this week and Oregon are also in the mix. And I think Texas is going to be hard to beat. He said all the right things. I talked to him right before I came up here too, and he said the right things. But I just get the feeling that Texas is going to be hard to beat in the end. So but hey, Arkansas. John Chavis did make a good impression on the kid. He knows he could play here next year. He knows Arkansas's got some senior linebackers out there. And so, and I know, Dejon Harris, Trey Greenlaw were impressive to him. And but in the end, I really look for the Longhorns to get him. But we'll see. I mean, and if he takes that, he's got one more visit. And if he said it would be Oregon or Nebraska. If he visits one of those schools, it's possible he could choose them. But, but in the end of the day, I still look for Texas to land him unless something really happens.
Let's finish with Torian Carter, a guy we've talked a lot about for good reason here on this program. Torian is out of Mansfield Legacy, and we all know he could really be a big piece on the defensive side for Arkansas, the defensive front.
He will announce Wednesday, and it will be between Arkansas, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. And, he's been here. He's been here twice. He came here to the North Texas game, then he came back for the Alabama game. Was an official visit. North Texas was unofficial. We all know his buddy Jackson is coming here. He is already committed here. And, of course, they're recruiting Jalen Catalan, the safety there as well. And he was on the official. All three of those kids from Mansfield Legacy are being recruited by Mark Smith, and they all came for the Alabama game for an official visit. So I look for Arkansas. I think Arkansas is in great shape for Carter, but, you know, he'll go public with it on Wednesday, and I really look for it to be great news for Arkansas.
Going to be interesting down the road here. Devin Bush going to visit as well for Arkansas. He's going to visit in November. That'll be November 10th for the LSU game. We'll talk more about that as we continue here with Otis Kirk. But that is your recruiting report. And by the way, you can go to Hogville and check out Otis's work anytime. We are back with more of the Pig Trail after this.